Hi, my name's Potential, and I'm going to do a brief walkthrough of getting Fantasy Grounds set up as a DM. So, first, where do you want to get it? FantasyGrounds.com. What's the cost? No cost associated with getting it. It comes with a number of SRDs, so like the standard rules you can get. What you would do is you would click download, and I would suggest getting the Fantasy Grounds Unity. There also is a Steam version you can get, but in my opinion, I'd rather get it straight from the site. Although the Steam one is nice, you can get some integrated packages from there as well. Now, what else do we have? We have a couple ways of getting content for it. Let's take a look at the store. So when I look at the store, you have the Fantasy Grounds store and you have the Forge. So if I go to the store, for instance, you can see a lot of stuff for like Pathfinder, Mutant Crawl Classics, even stuff from AD&D First Edition. Let's look up Against the Giants. Oh, look. Yes, they have old stuff from like Descent of the Depths, Vault of the Drow, and yes, they do work with First Edition rules, and they do have that available. And they have some newer ones as well. Like if you want to get 5e or whatnot, you can go there. Now, another thing you can do is you can get some add-ons. Now, keep in mind the store has like tokens, modules, content, some stuff made by users, but a lot of the more personalized stuff is made at the Forge. This is where stuff can get a little bit more impressive. Let's say we wanted to find shops. Do they have anything for shops? Okay, so after I get myself logged in, makes it a little bit easier. So I look for shop. We got 5e compatible. I'm going for an extension. This one we can see it's free, and this is an extension that allows the DM to pair shops. One thing that could be a pain for a lot of us is when our players want to go shopping, right? You can build a shop, put everything in. You could have this running in the background and let your players buy stuff outside of sessions or in session. My players love to shop in session. So, no cost. You would download it, it can get installed automatically. What does it look like? We're taking a look. Yeah, that's the interface. So, you can simply drag and drop your items, it'll have the price, and the player can actually go in. Now, this is considered forged. So, how would we get this in and the rest of it? Well, after we have Fantasy Grounds installed, what you want to do is start her up. Now, we're going to be creating a new campaign, right? So you see here where it says create a campaign. Pick the campaign you want. We're going to give this a new one. We're going to call this Demo 5e is what we're going to do. You can set a password. So I'm going to call it password because you know how secure that is. And we're going to pick our rule set. These are the ones that come pre-installed, although I have bought a couple of these. I think Castles and Crusades I bought, and I think Shadow Dark I bought. I don't know if there's an SRD out. But a lot of these are just going to be the base rule sets that come in. As you can tell, there's quite a bit, including Mongoose Traveler for those who like that. So I'm going to pick 5e. Now, these are a lot of plugins that could have got it bought in advance. I'm just going to put in that shops one because that was kind of nice. I'm not going to put the rest of them in. And as you can tell, boy, do I have a lot because there's a lot of neat stuff. Also on the Forge, not everything's free. They use like essentially like Forge coins, I believe, or gold they call it. It's like fictional currency, so you can like spend that to buy stuff. Most modules are like $5. For your theme, you can kind of change how it looks. I'm gonna go with theme D&D. I believe that has some characters from the cartoon, so it looks kind of good. So probably have my password on because I'm creating it brand new. I've got shops and I've got theme D&D. All right, nothing too big, and we're gonna get this guy created. All right, remember when I said I had the D&D cartoon? Get that little guy up there. Looks kind of nice. They give you some user guides you can read. They give you forms. They also show you some options. Your options window is right here. It's where that little gear icon is. Show on low is not a bad thing to keep that. So we'll come up and we'll click it, and we can take a look at some of the options. Anything in here? It depends on how you want to do it. You can change quite a bit, and there's a lot of plugins you can get as well. Say like active character color. This is for the DM, so I can change what the DM color is going to be. You can either put in a code or pick one. I like to go red. One of the things that I set for the game, chat on DM, show DM roles. I normally have all this stuff on, and they allow you to change quite a bit. Same for combat. This is something I would suggest you go in and take a look. Now, what else can we do? One of the things about Fantasy Grounds that people always like are the dice. Say I wanted to roll a d6. Okay, say I wanted to roll 2d6. How do I do that? You click the right mouse button. Two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Want to do a fireball? And you can roll all the dice. Hey, 24 points of damage. If you want to change your dice, click up here and you can go take a look at the various dice that are available. They have a couple. And a lot of times it depends on like if you bought any. I bought a couple. Let's see. Let's go to like the Aura dice. I bought these a while back. Yep, we're gonna allow. So if you did not have these bought, you could go here and take a look. And we can take a look. Bought the Annulus of Focus. This is one that I typically like to use. Is just like kind of like the metal dice for it. So if we were going to do the same thing, you could take your six-sided die. One, two, three, four, five, six. And hey, I even got four more points out of it. That's how you could change your dice. Now, what else do we have? What are things that we care about? We have a combat tracker. This is how you can run combat. You can keep track of the players and the initiative and the hit points of the monsters and the damage and even the effects. Is it a flaming sword? Do they have a belt of giant strength? And we'll talk about all this a little bit later. The party sheet. This gives you a way of seeing like what does the party have for inventory, how you can assign experience points, for instance, in treasure. Calendar if you use it. Modifiers if you want to add some. Typically, I don't use this. Instead, I go directly down here on the roll. So let's say I wanted to roll with advantage. You see where advantage is? So I got that selected. So now when I roll, I had one die, but now it's rolling two. And you see how it keeps the better of it. If I want a disadvantage, it's the same thing. If I go to roll, it rolls two, and it's going to keep the lower, the 8. If you want to add a custom modifier, maybe a plus 4, if I roll a d20 with a plus 4, hey, it's going to be 19. And they give you the default plus 2 for cover, minus 2, plus 5, minus 5. You can use that. The effects, these would be conditions you would drag onto a character sheet, and we'll come down to that first. What I'm going to do is just talk about some of the fields quick, and then I'm going to go directly into encounter building. After I get a basic encounter, then we'll use that encounter to show how you can actually run it. But this could be like how you could add a candle to a character, a lamp. Maybe you want to add some conditions if they're not applied by the monster. Sound, if you're using sound, we are not going to go into it, but if you want, I might be able to do a demo personal if somebody's interested in it. And then the options. That's how you get the options up to change quite a bit of stuff. A little bit out of scale. Library, modules, assets, books, and sound sets. So modules are what you actually have installed. If we come up and I look at activation, I just want to do 5e. But boy, did Potential buy a lot of stuff. So what I'm going to type is player, and we'll see like what do we have for the player's handbook. So here we have D&D Player's Handbook Legacy. I'm going to get that loaded. So that's now in memory for my box. And this little check mark here means player are allowed to load. What I would suggest to make everybody's life easier, including yourself, see how it says player load automatic. So now when the player comes in, that'll get loaded automatically. So now we have the player's handbook loaded. Let's look up the Dungeon Master. There's the Dungeon Master's Guide. We'll get that loaded up. We'll get this loaded. Let's see. What do we have? That's the players one, so I'll let the players get access to it. That's fine. I'm not going to let them get the Dungeon Master specific. The legacy maps, I'm not going to load. We're not going to use that. Next, I want to get the monster manual. So we have a couple. I'm going to use legacy. And I'll let the players get it as well. Why not? We'll put that automatic. So now I've got my DMG monster manual and I've got the player's handbook loaded up. Next, assets. These would be essentially art that you have and what do you have available. I have a ton on my hard drive that it can come up. Say, for instance, I wanted to get a Manticore. All of that's from the various books, and you can change your monsters. We can go on that in a little bit. Books. These are set up essentially like it sounds, the books that you actually have and what you have loaded. So say I wanted to look up the monster manual. Hey, there we go. We got the legacy, we got the art, we've got monsters. Hey, for Arakaka or Aboleth, you can go in and take a look. Continuing, sound sets, that's a little bit out of scope. For the player, we don't, this is a new campaign, so no characters have been created yet. For players' notes, if you want to put notes for the players, campaign, haven't done any creation yet. And encounter from Fantasy Grounds would be a grouping of monsters that you fight. Images typically would be your maps. Items, this would be like magic items. NPCs, these would be your monsters. Parcel is treasure. It could be coins, it could be magic items you're going to award. Shops is showing up because I enabled it. That was that free one that I turned on. We could look at that as a second. Tables, if you want to have like some random tables. I don't know. Let's see, for instance, the mysterious deck, 22 cards. If you open it up and say you want to say like what they're going to roll, if I click the roll on the table, see how it rolls 2d10 and it's fates. If you don't want to give that to the players at the table, you just hide it. And then when you roll it, hey, you know that it's the sage card they drew. They don't know. That's why you got that little eye hidden. Tables are useful. Vehicles, not as big as in D&D, but if we had some games will go. For your world, you can set up locations, quests, story. What I typically do myself, story is the main driver, and we'll go over that in a second. I'll use that to give a description of what the room looks like. I will then attach an encounter to it, which is a monster to fight if it's there. I will then attach a parcel if there's treasure. Maybe there is a quest. It's a little gold chalice. I'll attach a quest to it if there's maybe some reward for vanquishing it. And then if you come down to character, these are various things that you have set up, like the backgrounds, the classes, the feats, the skills, the species, the spells that they have. All right, so let's do the first thing. Let's bring in a map. So I come up to here, and this is for dungeon draft. So I have a basic little 3-room dungeon, right? So let's do an export and stuff you want to note, 40 pixels. We want that for the grids, and we're going to click export. We're going to override the example. That looks good. And that's my example. It's in the desktop dragon map. Now, see how it says DD2 VTT? I specifically had it set up to universal VTT. That will allow you to bring it in. It'll do all the walls and everything for you. You don't have to mess around with it. So let's come back. And remember when I said images? This is how it's set up. Now, in my images, maybe I want to create a new folder. You see how we have all this stuff here? I want to call it maybe my campaign. So I click the plus button, and then when I click edit list, you see how it created that group one? So I'm going to come in and I'm going to call it my campaign. All right. Then I'm going to click this to stop editing. Then I go to my campaign. Nothing's in it yet. What do I want to do? I want to bring the map that I just created. I click import. There's the example, and you see how it was like a DD2 VTT. So I'm going to bring it in. Now, see how the example already came in? Now, when I take a look at it, I can maximize it with this little button here. I zoom in with my middle mouse button. Now, when I take a look, I can see I've got my grids, but they're not quite lining up. So if I come to my grid here and I had it set to 40, so by default it's 40, that looks pretty good, but now I want to adjust my little lines over, right? See how I'm nudging? You can nudge these guys over, get them lined up, then nudge them on down. And if you don't want it, you can just on the export from Dungeon Draft, not bring them in. And that looks to be pretty good, right? If what else do we want to do on here? So we've got our alignment, your tint. If you don't want to show the tint, I mean, you could get rid of it. So now you have the original lines. The grids are still there, see? But you just can hide it with like the A button. I normally like to leave a little bit on. So we've got the lines done. Let's take a look at line of sight. This would be our walls. Now, when I'm looking at it, it looks pretty good. One thing that you're going to notice, because I brought it in from Dungeon Draft does a lot of like little points. These points aren't that bad because this is really a small map. But when you have a large map, this can really slow down your players. So what you'd want to do is with the selection here, you want to click Simplify Selected Occluders. And you see how all those points are going away? You can overdo it. If you overdo it too much, next one should be an overdue. See what happened right there? I lost it. Click a Z. Something like this will work pretty good. So now I've got my basic map wall set up. What else can we do? Let's come to lighting. Now this one had two lights already set up, and you see how you got that little select lights? There, see a little light bulb and see that little light bulb? You can move it around. This is from Dungeon Draft. It was already pre-selected. You know, maybe you want to make the light a different color. Maybe you want it to be like a purplish. Get down a little bit more. There you go. See, I can go ahead and change that. You can also change the distance. Maybe it's too far. Maybe you want 10, and then you want the fall off to be maybe, I don't know, 20. Then you want this to be dim at 20, fall off 30. Maybe something like that. See how it's got like two lights? This would be the bright and this would be the dim. And rather than being on the torch, maybe he's got like a blue hand for some reason. You could change that. That covers lighting. What else can we do? One thing that I like to kind of play around with are the effects. So I just click the FX. We're coming here. We're going to go to water. And let's take a look. And you see how you got that light there and the map is kind of like wavering all over the place? Now, before we do this, I'm going to come back to the D20. Now, you see how I have enable disable lighting on? If I turn that off, oh wow, now I can see all of it. The entire map just went to water. If I come back to FX, and then if I click the enable mask, the plus button, it's gone. And if I hold the Alt key, I can draw what I want for the water. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? And you see how the water is now just on that one section. So we got some lights, we got water moving. You can increase it if you really want. I'm not, it's okay here. Maybe like make it a little bit slower. That's the FX key. If you come to the options here, we're looking at it. Some of the stuff here, enable, disable player preview. I don't have players on right now, but if I did, and if I turn this on, What it'll do is when I select the player, I can actually see what they see. Enable, disable line of sight. Because line of sight's enabled, line of sight is this grid, right? Or sorry, the walls. So by having the line of sight enabled, the walls will be there with what they can see. Enable, disable lighting. If I turn on lighting now the light that comes with it, I have a light here, I have a light here. That's what it is. We're not seeing the water move because there's no light. We've got that hidden right now. So that covers the basics of this. If you want to draw new content, maybe you want to draw new walls for some reason. What you do is click walls and you have a select, you have a line. You could draw like a little square here. See how like we're doing this? That would be a little room. Or you could get a square. Now you see how it has grid snap? Could take a little thing like this, for instance. Draw it like that. Good. I'm going to control Z that. You could also maybe draw like an ellipse if you needed to. If you need to change the wall, what you can do is just click delete, maybe click delete, see how it like takes out specific sections. So when you're looking at the wall tool or line of sight, you got select, you got draw a straight line, draw a square, draw a circle. With the select, you can select the individual point and you can delete it. The grid snap will draw it directly to the grid. So any square you can draw, any half point you can draw. The point snap will take it to essentially the nearest points when you're drawing to help you out. That's all that it does. Now let's hide this and let's talk about making some content. Story. Story I always use as like the basis of any encounter. Each room has a story. So I suggest same thing. Click the green button and you see that creates a group. We'll edit it and we'll call this my campaign. Click that to stop the editing. Select it. Now I've got it. I'm going to make 3 rooms. We'll call the first one room 1, and we'll call this welcome. So what is this? A dimly lit cavern. A lit torch is before you. A shadowy figure approaches. Now, sometimes it's kind of nice to do to help people out is to print this off in the chat window. So what you can do is select it, right click, and go to paragraph types. Now when I look at this, I've got a couple. A body text, that's just written text you don't necessarily see. Heading makes it look kind of pretty. It gives it like a bold if you're looking at like maybe word formatting. Chat frame will actually let it export out. A list will give you like a bulleted list, a link you could link outside of the tool. A table would be literally a table. For me, we're going to keep it easy. Chat frame. See? And it gives you a little chat frame there. You can click it and you see how that goes down there. That allows the players to see your text. If you could put some notes, you could say the shadowy figure is a bandit and he will attack when seeing the PCs. You do something like that. Now we got to have a bandit. Okay, let's get the bandit created. We're going to do the same thing. Now we're going to go to encounter because remember, encounter is where we have our monsters. And I'm going to organize it again. I'm going to click down here and I'm going to add a category. It's group. Click this and I'm going to call it my campaign just to get stuff organized. Select, get it selected. And I'm going to create an encounter. And everybody has their own approach. This is how I like to do it. I like to keep everything organized. So one, welcome. And what do I want? I want a bandit. So I go to NPCs. I take a look at the groups. What do we have? Dungeon Master's Guide Legacy, Monster Manual Legacy. Some of these are already loaded on my box. I'm going to go with the Dungeon Master Guide Legacy. I'm going to find me a bandit. There's my bandit. I'm going to put one bandit in here. And if I click here, I can get the CR. So it's 1/8. Probably is going to be a fair fight for one NPC. All right. That's my encounter. And I click that little blue button. Now it's saved. I see the XP. So what am I going to do next? I'm going to come down. I'm going to drag the encounter. And now I can see the encounter. Now, what else? Maybe the bandit has some treasure for the NPC. Treasure is considered parcels. Go to parcel. I'm going to create a new folder for it. Just keep everything organized. Click the plus button. Click the edit. It's pretty simple after you do it, right? And we're going to call this one welcome. Going to go into it. And now we want to, well, what we should have done is call this my campaign. So let's edit it and get this folder correct. So we're matching everything. My campaign, we're good. So now we have our folder. Now we can create our parcel. I'm going to call this one welcome. We'll give them 20 silver pieces and we'll go for items. We'll find, and it depends how you want to do it. I like to try to sometimes filter it because I have a lot of books. We'll go to Dungeon Master Guides, Legacy. We'll just give them maybe a dagger. Well, let's see. That's the player's guide. Go to, there we go. What we find, dagger. We'll put a dagger plus one in there. So what we would do then is drag that to the story. Oops, sometimes it can do that. It can be a little bit of a pain if it does. We come back. You're going to notice it's kind of like a hyperlink is like the entire thing. And technically you don't necessarily have to have everything in the list. You can avoid it if you want. Other stuff that I've done before, you can like take this, maybe you want this right on the room. So when you come in, you have that ready. You could have your little encounter like maybe right next to it. You could have, well, that's not technically an encounter. That is a parcel. Okay. So we've got our story, we've got our encounter. Let's add that, including our parcel as well to everything. So the story's up here. You can take the encounter, you can put that on it. Typically, I'll hit the return key. You can put your parcel on it next. And you can see how it says encounter and parcel, and we got our story. What you can do sometimes, and I do suggest that if you just put the story on the map, the way how this is set up now, if you're going to be running it and you click it, see how that brings everything up. You can also drag the encounter and you can drag the parcel like right on if you want to have like a really quick shortcut so you could see it if you're trying to read up. So the players would come in, you could click this for them, that'll read that down. Then they have the encounter and then they have the parcel. Um, what else could they do? And we'll come and run combat in a second. Another thing that they could have could be a quest. Maybe the quest, and we'll do the same thing again. We'll make a new one, and we'll call this my campaign. And maybe the quest was kill the bandit. So it's one, welcome, the description, kill the bandit. And maybe it is a 1/8 CR, and it gives 25 XP. That's how quests can work. So maybe you want to add that in. So you're going to give them double XP. So we'll bring that in. And there's the quest as well. You can put that in. Those are some of the like primary components you could use as a DM. Now, let's take a look at running combat. Now, before we do that, we're going to need a character to be created. We don't have one yet. So let's create a character. Click character. I would suggest going to character wizard. Now, in here, you can pick what I would suggest is pick a source. Again, I have a lot of stuff. I'm going to go with the Player's Handbook Legacy. We're going to go for a barbarian. Barbarian is going to be level 2. We're going to give him some skills, athletics, and we'll give him perception. He's got his rage, he's got his unarmored defense, danger sense, reckless attack, background. We will have him be a folk hero. So we click plus. He's going to get artisan tools, vehicle of the lands, and he likes to drink, so he gets brewer supplies. Species. We'll make him, how about a dwarf? So we click the green button. He is going to speak dwarvish, and he'll speak elvish, for instance. And you can see like he's got resistance, dark vision, stone cutting, and dwarven toughness. For his abilities, could use standard array, and that'll give you your listing of abilities. So maybe I want him to have a higher con. So I drag that there, and you see how the 13 and 14 switched. Maybe I don't want him to have as high as wisdom. See how I'm dragging? You could also go point by, and then it makes it a little bit easier. You can just kind of drag the abilities up. Won't be too good, won't be too bad. So he has 10s for everything and 14s for those. You could also do my favorite dice roll. Dice roll is 4d6 minus 1, and you can adjust those as you want. Click that, and you get that massive amount of dice. Not the best character. Typically, what I'll do is I'll take the two highest scores and raise them to 15 to give them a start. We can try it one more time, see if we can get somebody who's a little bit more passing. These two 15s from a dice roll. What do we get? Yeah, good enough. All right. So he's got a 16 for int. We'll put that for his con. 13, 13. He's not too bad. Equipment. If you wanted to, you could either roll and buy or you could pick. We'll give him Brewer's Supply. We'll give him a Battle Axe. And we'll give him a Mace. And then his backup, we will give him Javelin. So basic, we'll go to commit. We'll give him a name. We'll call him Prickly. Now, when I save, we'll take a look. All right. Prickly, he needs a picture. So I can go to my assets, and everybody's going to have a different amount. I have a lot already downloaded. We'll go to Barbarian, and we'll give Prickly that nice little image. He is a big barbarian. All right. Click this. So Prickly was made. We take a look at Prickly, and we look at his actions. He's got a battle axe, javelins, quite a bit, mind you. We come to his inventory. So when they added it, they added just a little bit. There's some tricks of the trade. I can set this to a 5. So now he has 5 javelins. It's equipped, so you'll see it in his actions. He's got his mace. He's got his battle axe. Shows his backpack. He shows all the default stuff that he has. He's got his 10 gold piece starting. That shows strength and encumbrance. So Prickly isn't exactly too bad. We've got him started, and he's a dwarf. All right. Now, if I wanted to add him to the combat tracker, what I can do is go to characters, and I'll drag him up. So there's my Prickly. Put him on the map, right down there. We can see Prickly, and then we'll have him move up, and you can see how you have like the vision as he's going in. So when he would be coming in, you can come up to your story, go to your encounter. We can see that. We could type that in for him so he sees a dimly lit cavern, 8 torches lit before you, a shadowy figure approaches. Who is that shadowy figure? That shadowy figure. And you see how I'm dragging the encounter into the combat tracker? Ooh, it's an unidentified bad guy. That would be your bandit. If I come up here and then I show all, then you see where it's not identified. So when I click him, he can now see him. Other stuff you can do, you can go to your visibility and you can set to always invisible if he has invisibility. You can also mask vision, but I've permanently enabled him. Now, how would combat work for this? Well, you need to do your initiative, right? So the character would come up and then he'd click his initiative. See where the +1 is? There's initiative. Roll. So he rolled a 17, but he got a +1 because his dex is +1. NPCs, what do? Right click, initiative, roll NPC. Although you could roll all, players want to roll their initiative. We all know that. So he rolled a 9. So the initiative is set up. Prickly is going to get to go first. So Prickly, he moves up. Prickly targets the bandit. Now I want to look at his character sheet. If I double up, we go to actions. This is how players would go through. He's got his battle axe right now in his primary hand. And you see how now it's got that 2 on it because I clicked it? Remember, battle axe, it's a versatile weapon. You can go 2 hands. He clicks it again, it's in his offhand. Now it's back to primary, so that's 1d8. He's going to dual wield it. Now he gets his d10. So he's going to try to hit the bandit. So he makes an attack roll. Nat 1, automatic miss. So you advance the tracker down. The bandit now is going to try to hit Prickly. So you see in the combat tracker where they have that little offense, he has a scimitar and he has a light crossbow. He has a +3 in his attack. He's going to try to hit him, and he misses. We advance. Technically, we would be round 2. So Prickly is getting irritated. So what Prickly is going to do, going to try hitting him again. And this time it hit. You can see with the hit icon, he's going to roll his damage. And you see how it says to the bandit, it exceeded hit points by 1. The bandit now has that little trash can icon from him. You can delete him from the tracker. And you see how there's a little blood pattern. They have custom, typically markers for various monster types. They can be like purple or black, comes by default. Now, we want to award treasure to him. So what do? We come to the party sheet, and we're gonna need to get him added to it. He should have been before, but I didn't add him to it. So let's get him added to the party. You can also see Prickly is up here now, right? So that's the main. You can see his abilities. Another nice thing on the party sheet, if you have a full party, you can actually do rolls for him. Like say you wanted to roll strength and say you wanted to set the strength DC at 10. You could do this and roll. Now, you see how that little eye icon? If I click the ability check for 10, that'd be for the entire party. It's just him right now. He failed, and you could see it. You can also click that to hide it. So if he's going to try his strength again, hey, now we broke it. You can go through this. For us, we want to award inventory and we want to award XP. So the encounter, that's under his XP. What you can do is take the encounter, and I have it in the story, drag it in, 25 XP, right? Award. He's got his 25 XP and it's been awarded. Inventory, he's got that parcel, right? Drag it in. So he's going to get a dagger +1 and 20 silver piece, but you have to assign it. So you need to type in the player's name. It'll autofill. It's going to Prickly, and then you click that green down arrow. So now Prickly has 10 gold pieces. He's got that 20 silver pieces, and he's got that dagger +1. We come back to the XP. The quest was to give him to kill the Bandit King, right? Click award. We gets an extra 25 XP for it. Now, when we come back and we double click on Prickly and we take a look at his character sheet, let's take a look at him. First class and level, he was a barbarian level 2, right? You click the gear icon, and when I take a look at it, oh, there's that 50 XP. He had 50 for killing him. He had, sorry, 25 for killing the barbarian, and another 25 for going through and doing the quest, right? And that covers at least the basics from the DM. Now, there's some other stuff you can do as well to make it be a little bit more advanced. Now, you see where the effects are. So, if I come up to the effects options over here, now by default, they don't come with anything. You have to fill it out yourself. Some things they do come with, like some of the conditions. So, if he was, let's say, grappled, you can drag grappled on and you'll see the grappled condition. If you put blinded on, and if we were logged in as a player, he would not be able to see. You can see the icons going there. You can also disable them. All right. Let's say Prickly, he got a little bit of a better weapon this time. Maybe it was a flame tongue. How could we put that in the game? Couple of ways. Typically, what they'll do is they'll do an effect. So I have the effect selected here, right? Click the plus button, it brought it up. And I can type that in right there. DMG semicolon 2d6 fire. That will give him fire damage. So what will that look like? If we redid this encounter, right? So what do? Go to the combat tracker and we can bring that guy right back in. He's fresh, right? And we can put him on the map. So he's there right now. He's got like a light color. He's not really visible, right? He's unidentified. If I go to visibility, I could also do mask sensitivity. That means only when he's in view, the player will see it. And I will do a player view in a second, just doing some DM stuff to make it easier. So he's seeing him right now, right? And when he comes up, he needs to target. How does Prickly target? Well, Prickly, what he could do, there's a couple of ways. If you hold the right control key and you target like this, you see how that arrow is showing up and it's showing you the range? So actually, it was left control key and then the left select button on your mouse. And you see how he's showing up there? That's how you get him selected. What Prickly could do is from his character sheet then, he could roll with his battle axe, and we're pretending that it's flaming, and we'll roll till he technically hits. So he sucks. He rolled a 2. First one was a 1. 3, oh god, Prickly. He would be a dead barbarian if he was level 1. Oh god, we're still going now. There he goes. He finally hit. Now, I did add flaming to it, right? So we look at the effects 2d6 fire. What happens when he does it? The hit. See how the fire dice shows up, an extra 2d6. Maybe you wanted to give him an effect that would only be on for a short period of time or something, and you wanted to turn it off. Maybe have an effect. You could skip a turn, maybe every other one, or you could make it inactive. So if he did damage again, let's pretend that he hit. See how it's off now? He's still doing 10. But if you turned it on, see how it works? And that applies to everything. So you do kind of got to be careful on effects. Other things that players can do when they're targeting. They can take their dice roll like this. If they put it over the NPC, see how I got the dice here? So they don't have to like use the left control on the mouse button. And it looks like he hit him on that for the unidentified. They can do that too. So you can like drag your dice on, although it can be a little bit on the confusing side. Now, where can you get help with effects? Now, obviously, I went to a wiki. If you type in Fantasy Grounds wiki, you go to their Fantasy Grounds Unity, they got an Atlassian site, and they go through all the effects. They'll give you everything that you could use for it. There's quite a bit. So 5e effects for automation, and they go through and they talk about like everything that you could do for it in here. So it's fantasygroundsunity.elation.net. If we come back and we take a look, there's a number of things you can also do just on the character sheet alone. If I come to my actions and you see how I have my modes, if I move this into preparation, and let's say I wanted to change this. So right now he's got that D8 there. If I wanted to add fire dice, I'm going to take my D6. Well, we'll do it like this. First, you got to click the add item to it. He's getting a secondary set. This is going to be the fire dice. So I'm going to take 1, 2, and you see how I have 2 dice? And then I drag it in here. There we go. And that's not going to be called slashing, it's going to be called fire. That's how you could technically create a battle axe flaming if you wanted to, for instance. So now it's going to do that all the time. If I take the effect off, it's still going to be on because I manually added it to it. So if he hits him this time, see how it's doing automatically, even though the effect's not there. You can come in, take a look at the character. You can do like a number of things when you're in preparation. If we wanted to, and there's other stuff you can change too. He's proficient. If you wanted to make it a magic item, you could give it like a +1, for instance. Now it's going to be +1 to hit, +1 to damage. If you are +1, yeah, these will be +1 to hit for there. That would give it a +1 on damage as well, if you wanted to add that. There's also a number of modules that are available for sale typically, where they can add these effects automatically. Personally, I was a lazy DM. I didn't really want to have to code everything. So I just went ahead and used those. It gave me a complete list for the effects, but I'm not going to be shilling for someone else. It's on you. I used it myself. It just makes life easy. Just type in Fantasy Ground, something like probably automatic effects, and you can take a look and buy them for the stuff that you need. Typically, if you get maybe one for like the DMG, if you only want to spend like $3 or $4, that'll give you a listing and it can help you go through it. Otherwise, you can go through the wiki site. If we can get right back to it, and they do go through it and they do explain how to get everything set up, and it does work pretty well. I've used this myself, but this was the part that had the steepest learning curve. It was like how to get the effects, how to get everything automated, and everything else for it. That's what took me some time to get going, but after I had it down, it's not too bad. Typically, if you, well, again, you can buy like a mod that'll do it for you automatically, but it's not too hard after you get used to it. And they're giving you all the little features and everything else that you have. All right. How would we do this as a player if we were going to take a look at it? And oh, also another thing we should talk about while we're looking here. One thing that can be a little bit different for some people when they're coming in, you got your initiative tracker. You see your 18 and your 6. You see your hit points. Temp, what is this? That's temp. If he had, let's say, a ward of 5 hit points, he could absorb 5 before he takes damage, right? So let's pretend that we're on the bandits list. The bandit goes ahead, he gets him targeted. Left control, and you see now how the bandit under the targets has him selected. So let's say the bandit targeted him. So he's trying to hit him. And that was a miss. Let's try it again. And yeah, he hit him. All right. he hit him. Say he was going from surprise, hit him with slashing. Right now, when I take a look at it, how much damage does he do to him? All right, so he does 3 plus 1 for the damage. That's 4. When you take a look at it in the combat tracker, he had wards, right? So the wards were like 5 temp hit points. See how they're counting down? If he hits him again, let's pretend that he hit and we roll damage. So he did 5 this time. And you see how his wounds went up to 4? They add it up. It's a little bit different than what some people would think because you think they would show the remaining hit points. They just went with addition. It does, after you get used to it, it's a little bit easier doing addition than subtraction. But that would be just one other thing that comes into play. All right, so let's say you want to be a player and you want to join a campaign. So I have my fantasy grounds running in the background. I click join campaign. Uh, there is potential. Now you could look for him by the GM name. So I'm going to try to find potential, see like what he has up right now. Hosting, password. So right now I type my GM name, which is potential. I'm going to type in my password. It was password, very secure. And then what it's doing right now, it's acquiring the file list. And afterwards, we'll see it from the player's perspective. So now I'm logged in, and there's a couple things. I can see my player character. I can see Prickly. I can see potential. But where is that map? Hmm. The DM has to share the map. So how does that work? To share, now you could right click, and I'm right clicking on the map, but I don't see it. Why? You got to be in a slightly smaller view. For whatever reason, it's got to be in a windowed view. It's been that since I've been using the tool for the last couple of years. You right click, sharing, share record. That's how you share images. So it's being shared. All right. This is the DM view. Let's come back to the player view. So we come back, we look at the player view. Oh, look, here's the map. Map was loaded up. And let's take a look. Now, got my player claimed, and now I can go in and see. I'm kind of like zooming in. Yeah, you can zoom him. So I'm zooming in, I'm seeing him. Now, I'm kind of going in and I'm doing like a little move that I want to. Now, you see how this is like a move request? It would be 35 feet. So if the DM was going to allow it, right? What would happen? The DM would come back, he would take a look, and then you see how the DM gets the accept option. And then you see how he moves through. Now, that guy is dead right now. We're going to resuscitate him. So he's back. We'll look at his effects. He had prone and unconscious. That's why he was rolling advantage, because he was literally prone. That's why we had it earlier. The tool's very good at teaching you its rules. I'll give it that. I'm going to look at his visibility. I'm going to make sure he's mass sensitivity on. So let's take a look at it again from the player's perspective. So here's the player. Now he sees the barbarian, or sorry, he sees the bandit. So he comes down, he moves, he puts the request in for 15 feet. The DM can go and okay that. So the DM will come in, he accepts all, and you see the little guy move down to attack. Then you come back. The player goes to his character sheet, he goes to his actions, and he makes his attack. Try to hit him with the +5. And he needs to make an attack roll. So I didn't actually have him targeted. So what he should have done, remember when I said you could take the attack roll and you could put it over the NPC, and you see how the NPC is showing up on the right hand? That's how you know the dice is going to go. Try it this way. See? And what did he do primary? If I have this identified, the DM's going to have to tell him because I've got him hidden because I'm being a sneaky DM. I'm going to put that here so we can see it. And you see how he missed? Because I've got him identified now when the player comes back, so let's come back to the player role. Now he's going to actually see the attack on the combat tracker. So he can see himself. He can see that guy's healthy. So now if he tries to hit him with his flaming battle axe, and you see how he's got him identified, and you roll, there you go. Now he sees the hit because it's been identified. Then he comes up and he does his attack roll. And because we had flaming embedded in it already, well, I got to do the same thing because I didn't have him targeted. That's the kicker, right? What I should have did is this. See how he's now showing up like that? There you go. And he is essentially sleeping with the fishes. You can drag over, or again, technically, probably the best thing to do. Let's get back. We need to advance it. We'll set that back to 0, and we'll get rid of his effects. See how it puts like prone and unconscious when they hit 0 automatically. Probably one of the better things to do is what I normally do. I'll normally make sure that I got them targeted. So with prickly, I'll hold my left control key, click my left button, and you see the target now is unidentified. So I can at least see this guy. If I want to make him a little bit better, what I should do is come back, and then I'm going to click here so he knows it's a bandit. Then he's going to see the bandit. There's all sorts of stuff the DM can do to occlude knowledge on it. So now he can see his target is the bandit. Now he can try to hit him again. Solid hit on the bandit. And now he can roll and probably kill the little guy, although he rolled crappy. All right. That's the basics. Try to do this as quick as possible. Stuff you can do, you can use the tutorial for it. You can go to Fantasy Grounds Academy on YouTube, or you can go to Fantasy Grounds itself. Let me show you those sites for more help. So for the official one, I would suggest go to Fantasy Grounds VTT. They'll go through, typically, they'll show like some new releases, new features as they're going through. They don't necessarily go too heavy into deep down walkthroughs. Other ones you could use would be Fantasy Grounds Academy. They have a number of like walkthroughs, and you're going to find there are a lot of support sites for Fantasy Grounds online where they go through. Or you could just use the wiki site essentially. If you just type in Fantasy Grounds Wiki, there'll be all sorts of support there. You can also come down here. Let me go to Fantasy Grounds. And if you come to the forums, for instance, House of Healing, that will help you as well for this. One last thing, sometimes you might want to like change your display. There's some stuff you could do, like if you want to scale UI, if you want it to be maybe a little bit different. If I set scale UI to 80, see how it's smaller and it moves it. Maybe I want to set scale UI back to 100. See how it like changes when you're going through it. That could be like one more command on it. Hopefully you have fun. If you have any questions, let me know.